Thank you for joining us at the University of Karate. We're again looking at a topic that's going to interest you, I believe, and also benefit you in your study of the martial arts. We, as you usually know, are studying through the principles of Uechi-ryu and also looking at the principles of the martial arts generally. So what we talk about can benefit anyone in any discipline, we believe, because we're all going to the same place if we're following the principles that are outlined in what we know as martial arts. We want to talk about a topic today, as you see in your thumbnail, that's called Styles, Systems, and Success. What are we talking about? We're talking about the fact that there are various schools of thought when it comes to martial arts. Some people believe that there should not be styles, there should not be systems, and that's the way to success. They believe in MMA or free boxing or freestyle, something like that. And the traditional theories and principles are seen as being inefficient and old, outdated, need to be thrown away. We had a series of talks previously called Kata, Useless or Use Lost. You need to go back and look at that series. Very, very good series talking about some of these things. But this is called Styles, Systems, and Success. And we want to talk about, is there really a need for styles, or how do styles come about? Is there really need for systems of educating and teaching martial arts? And what really is the method by which success is brought? Before we bring in Sensei Biddle, I just want to kind of give a little prelude to kind of give a context to what we're looking at by giving a historical example of someone who took and created a style, created a system, and had success. And we can go through this topic a number of times, look at a number of people, but the person we're going to talk about today is Jigoro Kano, the founder of Judo. Jigoro Kano was fortunate enough when he was a young man to have a family that had money where he could be trained by an elite master of jiu-jitsu in his day. We won't go into all the history of what jiu-jitsu was going through at that time, but let's just say that jiu-jitsu was not held in high regard at that time when the samurai was going off the scene, and people were thinking of those who had left or were not under the samurai rule anymore as being thugs that practiced jiu-jitsu. He wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. He had a wealthy family. He was sent to a jiu-jitsu master that was old, but still a master, learned a bit of the style, and the master died. Now, this situation happened 3 or 4 times to him where he learned very deeply into the system of jiu-jitsu, different schools, and the older master died. And basically, he was the person that they wanted to kind of carry on the style. But again, because Jigoro Kano was a very educated individual, very intellectual individual, an educator by trade, he started to study and look at these systems of jiu-jitsu and synthesize them into a better style, he believed, a better system for the techniques and the methods of jiu-jitsu. What do I mean by that? He started to understand that there were some parallels in these different schools. Certain schools focused on certain things, but there were some parallels. There were some things that were unique and some things that were consistent in jiu-jitsu. And he started to create a style, if you will, where he took out all the deadly techniques, generally deadly techniques, that were used in the samurai era. Back breaks, neck breaks, and so on and so forth, eye gouging and so on. And he made a system where he used the principles that he saw repeated over and over again: the rolling, the displacement of energy, the falls, the ability to displace the power of a fall by slapping the arm, turning the body. All these things he found in his study of jiu-jitsu. He also understood from science that physics was at play. Not just kinesiology and knowing the movement and the feeling of the body, but also physics was at play, where he understood potential energy was being used and levers was being used. And he understood how these things were all playing into the proper use of judo, where before, for millennia, people were just being thrown about and concussed in judo. Many people were possibly going to be a wonderful exponent of the style, but they were literally maimed or paralyzed or even killed in the study of jiu-jitsu because the training was so irregular and also so unsafe. Jigoro Kano improved the system by creating a form, a method, a style of jiu-jitsu play where people were able to roll, be thrown, and even be taken to the ground without being concussed, without getting concussions, just by holding the sleeve when someone went to the ground and holding the head up from allowing it to bounce, by learning how to turn and slap the hand to displace the power. All these simple nuances Jigoro Kano brought into the system and took a system that was effective for killing and was effective in martial arts, but he bettered it and created what is seemingly a new style called judo that was effective in dispatching jiu-jitsu in its day. It became the most popular art because of that in different police tournaments. What am I saying? There is a time where things that have been in the past are turned into new systems, new styles. Even his educational background helped him systematize this and break it down. Now, why we're looking at this today is because in today's world, we want to ask the question, we want Sensibility to talk to us about why there is so much backlash against styles and systems, and also the purpose, even in Uechi-ryu and other styles. He's studied a number of them. Why there's a purpose in having a certain style for certain techniques or certain system? And is there any room for that today? Or should we just throw everything away and just do boxing or MMA? Sensibility.
Well, the purpose of any style, all styles are some expression of some intent. So, and the reason that styles vary is because people vary, and teachers learn something and then they learn more, they add to it, take away from it, it becomes something new, and it becomes a system that they teach. And then it's passed down through time, and then it gets watered down, evolves, fades away, whatever, but it happens to all of them. And it's easy to try to categorize one style better than another. And the only way to do that is to say it's applied better here than better there. So, for example, in Jigoro's case, as John was talking to, he was able to use judo to make it a competitive sport because it wasn't hurting people. But it can, obviously, if it's used properly, but the expression of the style at that time was that it made it safer to practice while maintaining a level of effectiveness that it maintains that we see today. And it's interesting to me that growing up in the martial arts community for numbers of decades, at one time judo was sort of looked down upon, like it's just, like it doesn't work, it's blah, blah, blah. And it was frowned upon. I mean, it was like the bastards, like Aikido is now today, apparently sometimes. But I never thought that. I went and learned some judo basic levels. I wanted to learn some throws and most of them really actually what I wanted to learn was how to fall. But it was sort of frowned upon. But then something came along that reintroduced that type of technique, and that was the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which integrated now a new thing into the mix, and that style became prevalent, and then it dominated MMA for a while, and the rules were according to the sport, and it made it worthwhile, and then we had the evolution in MMA, and that's an expression of a style as well. So styles are expressions of some intent. A person, let's say in the Shaolin Temple, you went and you went to learn Kung Fu in the Shaolin Temple. You were presented with some basic level of teaching. some basic things. And there's more to talk about this, but this is just a rudimentary approach. But you learn some basic core system, some set of movements. And then you're presented with, oh, let's look at tiger, let's look at dragon. If you remember Kung Fu with David Carradine, he was there and they were showing their different forms. You know, this is tiger, this is dragon, this is crane. Well, that's cool. I like that. So I'll learn tiger. And then you learn, and then the style is stuck on you, and you learn these movements and patterns that are reminiscent of that style. And then if you take someone like Kanban Uechi, when he went there, he not only just took the core that he learned, but he also took tiger, dragon, crane, and then he assembled it into what we have as Uechi-ryu. Other instructors went to the same place and came back and they assembled it as something like Goju-ryu. Funny thing is, they still have Sanchin Seisan and Sansei-ryu in their forms. And even most of the animal styles have those same forms, which is interesting, but another time. But on the sense of style, it's a teacher's individual expression of some intent. And then the system is developed to express that intent. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a style formed to express its extent to do ground control and submissions. And many argue it's a safer way of doing it. It's sort of like judo was a safer form of jiu-jitsu. When Jigo Kano took his students and they competed against in the tournament, all of his judoka students defeated the jiu-jitsu students, but mainly because once you put it into the competitive sport background, the jiu-jitsu was not usable because they can't break your neck. So you tap out. You know, that's sort of what we see in the sport of MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu today. They've ruled out all the techniques that'll hurt somebody, and for obvious reasons, good. And does that mean it invalidated for self-defense? No, of course not. Just like nothing is invalidated for self-defense. If your understanding of your style goes far enough, you can learn to use it in its most effective way. Like now, there's been a rediscovery of judo. And judo is now much valued amongst martial arts practitioners as being effective. In my day, it wasn't. It's fine. Now, also another thing that's becoming cool is wrestling. They're finding out that people that learn to do high school wrestling, college wrestling, they're pretty darn good on the ground. And they give the BJJ guys a run for their money. So then it comes down to now, what's important? Well, none of it's important and all of it's important. It comes down to who you are and what you want to do. Like I said, I don't want to denigrate any style. I won't. In my journey, I looked at styles not in this approach of where are they different. I tried to find out where are they the same. Because I want to find the core of what makes martial arts. What makes the movements. What is the underlying principles in all of it. And they all share common denominators. They really do. As far apart as you want to get them, if you want to go with Shotokan and linear punches and kicks and Aikido, I'll find you common denominators. And those are the ones that I want to use. Not where we differ, but where we agree. And that's fascinating.
We're going to take a short pause here and break this audio into two parts. We're going to stop here and we're going to come back with another video very soon, continuing this talk with Sensei Mike Biddle and going into some more points that are very, very interesting to you as well as to me. Let's take a pause there. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and also down in the comments, let's keep this conversation going. We'll see you next time at the University of Karate.